The attack began on April 1, 2026, and it was over almost before anyone could react. In roughly 12 minutes, 31 withdrawal transactions drained approximately $285 million from Drift Protocol. The speed was staggering. The major vaults were emptied in just 10 seconds. The stolen assets included heists, JLP, and WETH. These were not imaginary numbers on a screen. They were real user funds that vanished into attacker-controlled wallets, while the protocol's security systems failed to detect what was happening until it was already too late. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. Drift suspended all deposits and withdrawals as the team scrambled to understand what had just happened. The Drift token collapsed 40% in value as panic spread through the community. Users who had trusted the protocol with their savings watched helplessly as their balances disappeared within hours. The attackers bridged most of the stolen funds to Ethereum. The speed and confidence of these transactions was remarkable. Each bridging operation moved hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in heists, executed with a level of coordination that suggested this was not a spontaneous decision, but a carefully planned extraction. This attack became the largest DeFi hack of 2026. It also claimed the distinction of being the second largest exploit in Solana's history, surpassed only by the $326 million wormhole bridge hack from years earlier. The scale and precision of the operation immediately signaled that this was not the work of opportunistic criminals, but something far more organized and dangerous. The attack did not begin on April 1st. It started months earlier, in the fall of 2025, at major cryptocurrency conferences around the world, where individuals representing themselves as a quantitative trading company first approached Drift contributors. They were not random strangers pitching a cold call. These were technically fluent people with verifiable professional backgrounds, the kind of counterparts you would expect to meet at legitimate industry events. What followed was a patient, methodical campaign of relationship building over 6 months. These individuals attended multiple conferences across several countries. They established a Telegram group after that first meeting and maintained regular contact. The conversations were substantive, focused on trading strategies and potential integrations with the Drift protocol. Everything about their behavior matched what legitimate trading firms do when exploring partnerships here. What makes this particularly insidious? The people who showed up in person were not North Korean nationals. DPRK threat actors operating at this sophistication level use third-party intermediaries for face-to-face meetings. These intermediaries may not even know who they are ultimately working for. They just know they are being paid to build relationships with specific targets between December 2025 and January 2026. The group took a significant step. They onboarded what is called an ecosystem vault on Drift, which required filling out detailed forms about their trading strategy. During this process, they asked informed product questions and deposited more than $1 million of their own funds. That's a serious commitment, and it would have been hard to see it as anything other than genuine interest from a legitimate trading operation. This was not opportunistic. It was a structured intelligence operation, requiring months of planning and coordination. Every interaction was designed to build trust and establish legitimacy in the eyes of the Drift team. The technical sophistication of this attack lay not in some novel smart contract vulnerability, but in how the attackers exploited legitimate features of the Solana blockchain itself. Between March 23rd and March 30th, the attackers created what are known as durable Nonce accounts. This is a legitimate Solana feature that allows transactions to be pre-signed and then executed later, without the usual expiration that would normally cause such transactions to fail. Think of it like writing a check that never goes stale. The attackers used their established social engineering channels to convince Drift Security Council multi-sig signers to pre-sign certain transactions. These transactions appeared routine on the surface, the kind of administrative actions that happen regularly in protocol governance, but hidden within them were authorizations for critical admin actions that would later prove devastating. The signers had no reason to suspect anything was amiss. These were people they had been talking to for months, individuals who seemed technically fluent and had verifiable professional backgrounds. Then came a crucial change on March 27. Drift migrated its security council to a new configuration with a 2 of 5 threshold. This meant only 2 signatures were needed out of 5 council members to authorize actions. But the real problem was something else entirely. The migration implemented zero time lock in decentralized finance. A time lock is essentially a mandatory waiting period between when an action is approved and when it executes. It is the last line of defense, a window during which suspicious transactions can be detected and potentially stopped. By eliminating this delay, the protocol removed its own ability to catch what was coming. Those pre-signed transactions could now execute instantly, with no grace period for anyone to notice something was wrong. The attackers needed one more ingredient to pull off this heist. They had spent months building trust with Drift contributors. They had found a way to pre-sign hidden authorizations using durable nonces. But to actually drain hundreds of millions from the protocol, they needed collateral. Real collateral would defeat the purpose, so they invented their own on March 11, nearly 3 weeks before the attack executed. A single withdrawal of 10 Ethereum came out of Tornado Cash. That privacy mixer obscured the fund's origin, and within hours that money began moving. The timing was telling. Around 9 in the morning Pyongyang time, the attackers deployed what they called Carbon Vote Token, or CVT for short. What happened next was pure fabrication dressed up as market activity. The attackers minted 750 million of these tokens. They seeded a liquidity pool on Radium, a Solana-based exchange, with just a few $1,000s. Then they started trading with themselves. Wash trading. It is called you buy, you sell, you buy again. Volume creates the illusion of legitimate interest. Price creates the illusion of value. Through this manufactured activity, CVT established a trading history that placed its price near $1 to an automated oracle system. This looked like a real asset with real demand. Drift's price feeds picked up that signal and accepted it at face value. The protocol had no way to distinguish between genuine market discovery and an attacker trading with himself. That acceptance was the final piece. The attackers now held 750 million tokens that Drift's infrastructure treated as legitimate collateral worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Tokens created from nothing, backed by nothing, valued by nothing but manipulated data. And in 12 minutes on April 1st, those worthless tokens became a ticket to withdraw real assets from the protocol. The evidence pointing to North Korea emerged almost immediately after the attack, and it came from multiple directions at once. When investigators traced the on-chain fund flows, they found a direct connection. The wallets used to stage and test this operation traced back to the same actors who hit Radiant Capital. That was the $53 million heist from October 2020. For this was not a copycat or a coincidence. It was the same group, Then there was the timing. The on-chain staging began on March 11th, with a single withdrawal from Tornado Cash hours later around midnight Greenwich Mean Time. The funds started moving. That translates to roughly 9 in the morning in Pyongyang. The deployment timing aligns perfectly with North Korean working hours. This is a signature that investigators have seen before. The bridging patterns told a similar story. Most of the stolen funds moved to Ethereum within hours. Each transaction moved hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars in USD. The speed and aggressiveness matched the Bybit laundering operation. From 2025. These are not random criminals. These are state-sponsored operators working from a playbook. Drift attributed the attack with medium confidence to a threat actor known as UNC 4736. This group goes by many names: Applegeus, Citrine, Sleet, Golden Columna, Gleaming, Pisces. Different security companies use different labels, but they are all describing the same entity. This actor has targeted the cryptocurrency sector since at least 2018. They are best known for the X-Trader and 3Kex supply chain breach in 2023, and of course, the Radiant Capital hack. CrowdStrike published an assessment in January 2026 that adds important context. They describe Golden Columna as an offshoot of Labyrinth Columna, one of North Korea's oldest and most capable hacking units. But while Labyrinth Columna focuses on espionage and data theft, Golden Columna has a narrower mandate. They exist to generate revenue for the regime. They target small fintech firms across the United States, Canada, South Korea, India, and Western Europe. Their thefts tend to be smaller, but more consistent. It is a reliable income stream for a nation that needs it. To understand why North Korea would commit so much time and resources to stealing cryptocurrency, you have to look at what that money buys. This is not profit in any conventional sense, it is state survival. Despite improving trade relations with Russia, the DPRK requires additional revenue to fund ambitious military plans that include constructing new destroyers, building nuclear-powered submarines, and launching additional reconnaissance satellites. Cryptocurrency theft has become one of the most reliable funding mechanisms available to them. The drift attack would be the 18th DPRK-linked incident tracked by Elliptic in 2026 alone. By early April, North Korean hackers had already stolen over $300 million year to date, but that's just 1 year in a much longer campaign. The total amount attributed to DPRK actors over time reaches an estimated $6.5 billion money that flows directly into weapons program funding. What's striking is the targeting pattern. CrowdStrike has described Golden Columna as primarily focused on small fintech firms in the United States, Canada, South Korea, India, and Western Europe. These are not random targets. The adversary typically conducts smaller value thefts at a more consistent operational tempo, suggesting responsibility for ensuring baseline revenue generation for the DPRK regime. It is essentially a quota system. The attacks need to keep happening because the regime's expenditures keep mounting. Every successful heist funds the next generation of military capabilities, and the targeting of smaller fintech companies reflects a deliberate strategy. These organizations often have fewer security resources than major banks or exchanges, making them more vulnerable to sophisticated social engineering campaigns like the one that ultimately compromised Drift.